In life, there are relationships that require no words, no promises, yet are filled with unconditional love and loyalty. One such bond is the special friendship between humans and their pets. Bella, a little boxer dog, dedicated her entire life to loving and protecting her owner, James Walker. A humble man with a heart full of kindness. When illness robbed James of his health and thrust him into a life-and-death battle, Bella became not only a companion, but also his sole beacon of hope in the darkest moments. James Walker was an ordinary man living a peaceful life in Portland, Oregon. He found fulfillment in his gardening work, a job that brought him closer to nature and allowed him to create lush, green spaces. For James, gardening was not just a means of livelihood, but also a source of joy, granting him a sense of freedom and boundless creativity. Throughout his journey, he encountered many people and formed meaningful connections, but nothing ever surpassed his deep love for small creatures, especially animals. One day, as James was heading home after a long day of work, he decided to take a shortcut through a cemetery. The path through the cemetery would save him 20 minutes, a reasonable choice on a weary day. However, as he walked among the silent gravestones, an unexpected sight stopped him in his tracks. Ahead of him lay a small dog, motionless, appearing scared and frail. Approaching closer, James realized the puppy was starving and seemed neglected for a long time. Its fur was dirty, its body emaciated, and fleas tormented it relentlessly. Yet, in the dog's eyes shone a longing for care and affection. Without a second thought, James fashioned a leash from his belt and decided to take the dog home. Despite its dirty and smelly state, he couldn't abandon the little creature. James felt this dog deserved a new chance, a life filled with love and care. The dog was a tiny boxer, and James named her Bella. As James moved closer to the little dog, Bella remained still, but her wide-open eyes stared at him with confusion and fear. Her ears drooped, and her frail body trembled slightly. Although her face seemed tired and pained, her gaze carried something extraordinary, a glimmer of hope. Tears shimmered faintly in Bella's sorrowful brown eyes, as if pleading for help, yearning for a hand to reach out and provide safety and love. When James crouched down and extended his hand, Bella flinched slightly but didn't retreat. Slowly, she lifted her head, her eyes brightening slightly as if realizing the man before her could be her savior from loneliness and suffering. Then, as though overcome with emotion, Bella hesitantly stretched her tired paws toward James, finally placing her trust in a newfound friend. At that moment, Bella's frail body radiated a sense of vulnerability, yet overflowed with love and gratitude, tugging at James's heart. Seeing the hope and suffering in Bella's eyes, James could do nothing but gently carry the small dog in his arms, tenderly guiding her out of the cemetery, the place where she had endured so much hardship. Although Bella's body was weak and covered in wounds, her fear began to fade. As James held her, Bella softly closed her eyes, basking in the warmth and safety he provided. For the first time in a long while, the little dog felt loved, not an abandoned soul, but a cherished being worthy of care and affection. James brought Bella home with a tenderness filled with compassion and kindness. Upon reaching his cozy house, he had everything ready to nurse Bella back to health. He bathed her, washing away the dirt and fleas that tormented her frail body, and then gave her her first wholesome, delicious meal. The gentle glow of the house's lights seemed to soothe Bella, gradually bringing her a sense of peace and comfort. Although unable to speak, every wag of Bella's tail and every grateful look she gave James spoke volumes as an expression of profound thanks. Bella had found where she truly belonged, a place filled with love and unconditional care. And from that moment on, Bella's life began a new chapter, one where there was no more fear or loneliness, only love and the bond between the little dog and the kind-hearted man she called family. In the days that followed, James spent all his time cleaning Bella, treating her for fleas and feeding her properly. He also started searching for the dog's owner, but despite his efforts, no one came forward to claim her. James wondered if Bella might be a creature sent from another world, as if she had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Unable to find the owner, James decided to keep Bella. He didn't want the poor dog to suffer in a shelter or some cold, lonely place. Bella deserved a home, and James was determined to provide it for her. From that moment on, Bella became an inseparable part of James's life. Together they shared wonderful moments, from the beautiful mornings to the peaceful evenings spent by each other's side. Bella, with her cheerful and friendly nature, brought James a joy and warmth he had never known before. Time passed, and for the next 7 years, Bella was always by James's side, his loyal companion in every circumstance. The little dog not only accompanied James to work, but also happily sat beside him while he worked in the garden, enjoying the fresh air of the morning. Their working hours together became a daily routine, a bond nothing could break. Every afternoon, after work, James would take Bella for a walk in the nearby forest. They wandered along quiet trails where the noise of the city faded away, leaving only the sound of their footsteps and the wind rustling through the branches. In that quiet space, James would often find a patch of open land to stop and rest while Bella ran around him, chasing fallen twigs and joyfully barking at the birds flying overhead. They would sit together, sharing snacks, grilled meat, or a simple sandwich James brought along. That was not far from home for both of them. Those moments felt like a journey into another world, one free of worries and busyness, filled only with peaceful and simple happiness. Over the long years together, James and Bella built a deep and steadfast friendship, one that required no words, but was filled with love and loyalty. To Bella, James was not just an owner, he was the most trustworthy friend she could ever find. And to James, Bella became an irreplaceable part of his life, a wonderful friend who was always there whenever he needed comfort or companionship. Together, they wrote a beautiful story about the love and strong bond between a human and their pet. On a fateful Saturday, James was on his way home after a tiring day at work. He had no idea that a tragic accident would change his life forever. A car coming from the opposite direction suddenly lost control and collided with James's car at high speed. The powerful impact knocked him unconscious instantly. The doctors informed the family that James had suffered a severe brain injury. The test results showed that his condition was extremely serious. If he survived, the chances of recovery were very low, and the likelihood of him living in a vegetative state for life was very high. James could not move, speak, or feel anything. He lay there, motionless, as if trapped in a silent world where there was neither joy nor sorrow, just emptiness. His family stood by his bedside, worried and heartbroken. They hoped for a miracle, but the doctors had made it clear that his condition was nearly beyond saving. During those long days, one loyal friend remained by his side, Bella, the boxer dog James had saved many years ago. Although she didn't understand what was happening, Bella sat quietly next to James's bed, her eyes fixed on him, as if she was waiting for some sign some small reaction from him. Bella could not understand that James could no longer feel her presence, but no matter what state he was in, Bella's love for James remained unchanged. Every day she sat by his side, never leaving, as if protecting him in the only way she knew how. James's family saw that Bella was always by his side, without any call for attention, without any demands. There was only silence, yet it carried a deep unspoken love and loyalty that words could never describe. Almost a year after James fell into a coma, his family had to witness immense pain and difficulty. Although the doctors did everything they could, his body refused to recover. James became thin and frail, with no vitality left in his body, and his condition showed no signs of improvement. Each day that passed, his family faced a profound sorrow, seeing their loved one unable to wake up, unable to move or speak. James's family understood that they could not prolong his life in such a state. They'd tried everything, hoped and prayed, but now the decision had to be made. Although it broke their hearts, they realized that the pain James was enduring was too much, and continuing to sustain his life artificially would only make him suffer further. With heavy hearts, James' family faced the agonizing decision. Should they withdraw life support and let him pass peacefully, or continue to hope for a miracle, despite his chances of survival being nearly impossible? After the doctors informed them that James's condition was critical, and that while recovery was possible with timely treatment, the chances of survival with a good quality of life were almost non-existent, his family had to make the difficult decision. Although all hope seemed to have faded, one crucial presence remained in those final hours: Bella, James's loyal dog. Bella had always been by James's side throughout the years, and her presence was the only comfort for his family. Even though dogs were not allowed in the hospital, the staff agreed to let Bella into the room, understanding the special bond between them. The scene in the hospital room was heartbreaking and deeply moving. Bella, James's faithful dog, could not understand what was happening, but her deep love and loyalty to her owner were clear and could not be hidden. The dog gently approached the bed, her eyes filled with worry and sadness. She stared at James, and as soon as she saw his face, Bella's eyes began to well up, tears rolling down her cheeks. No words could express the pain of a dog realizing that her owner was facing the final moments of his life. Bella could do nothing but gently lick James's face, her licks tender, as if trying to convey her final emotions, a farewell that could not be spoken. She continued to scratch gently at James's hand, as if hoping he would respond, even if just a little. But there was nothing. James remained still, unable to feel anything anymore. However, Bella did not give up. She began to gently nudge James, hoping to wake him, even for just a brief moment. Then, as a deeply emotional instinct, Bella did what only a truly loyal and loving dog could do. She placed her front paws together as if bowing to James one last time. This gesture caused everyone present in the room to be unable to hold back their emotions. Tears fell from the eyes of those witnessing the scene, because they knew this was the final farewell of a sacred friendship, an unconditional love. Bella bowed 3 times, each time gently and full of respect. Then she looked at James one last time before lying down beside him, her eyes still filled with affection. Even though she could no longer feel anything from James, Bella stayed by his side, unwavering, as if to promise that her love would always be with him, whether he stayed or passed on. James's family and his loved ones could not hold back their emotions. Their tears blended with the silence in the room, witnessing the final moment of a deep friendship and an unconditional love. Bella's gaze at that moment spoke volumes. Her tear-filled eyes stared at James as though she were conveying a wordless message that only sincere hearts could understand. In that moment, Bella was not just a dog, she was a friend, a loyal companion who had stood by James through all the ups and downs of life. Her eyes held boundless gratitude, thanking James for taking her in, giving her a home, feeding her, and most of all, giving her joyful, happy moments with the person she loved most. During those years, James had not only been Bella's owner, but also her closest friend, the one who had given her a meaningful life. Bella remembered the afternoons spent playing outside with James, the cozy evenings together on the sofa, and the times when James would stroke her when she was scared. All of that was now just a memory, but Bella could never forget everything James had given her. Then, with trembling hands, James's father withdrew the breathing tube, allowing his son to pass away peacefully, no longer in pain. That moment was a painful decision, a deep ache in his heart. But he knew that James no longer had to live in a state where life had no meaning or hope. The next morning, when James passed, no one could hold back their tears. It was an enormous loss for the family, an unbearable sorrow. After bidding farewell to James, Bella could not forget her master. One morning, as the sun rose, Bella suddenly ran to the cemetery where James was buried. She didn't need anyone to guide her because this place, where James had been laid to rest, had become a part of her world. When Bella reached James's grave, she stopped and sat there quietly, her eyes filled with sorrow. Occasionally, she would lift her gaze towards the distance, as if searching for a sign, something familiar, before looking back down at the cold grave. Bella's soft whimpers echoed through the quiet cemetery, moving the hearts of all who heard. Though she could not speak, all of Bella's emotions were expressed in those cries. She remembered the wonderful moments they had shared, those afternoons of playing outside, those times when James comforted her when she was frightened, those peaceful moments spent together. Those memories were like deep wounds in Bella's heart, an unforgettable longing, an ache that could never be soothed. The dog sat quietly by the grave, never leaving. It seemed as though time stopped in that moment, when Bella was by James's side for the last time. The love, loyalty, and longing of a dog for her lost owner cannot be fully expressed in words. It can only be felt with the heart, through each tear that silently fell. This was an emotional image, proving that love has no boundaries and requires no words, only presence and a sincere heart. Bella would always remember James, always wait, always love. Even though James was no longer there,